Hello there, and welcome back to the Disc Connected. I'm here with Francis Galluppi, who is the writer-director of The Last Stop in Yuma County, and an upcoming pretty big project we'll get into in just a little bit. Fran, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited. This is like, physical media is my favorite thing. So I'm excited to talk to a fellow collector.
It's, literally surrounded. I kind of keep this, clean, and it looks pretty cool. The desk that I'm on, piles. It's disgusting. I hate it. Oh,
yeah, dude.
I love it.
So, yeah, what I do is, I have, a wall-to-wall shelf, and, all my new Blu-rays, they start getting stacked in front, Yep. And then, because I'm too lazy to, every Blu-ray, I don't want to, move everything around because they're all alphabetical. So, every few months, I'll be like, all right, here we go. And I have to start taking everything apart. And then and then I have then I put I have to pick which ones that I'm all right, I these can go in storage, right? Yep. The remake of RoboCop, that doesn't need to be on the shelf, right? I can put that in storage. And then when I expand, I can put all those back. But yeah.
Amazing. We'll get into physical media more in a little while. The obvious first thing to discuss about here, though, is how do you first get into film? There's a lot of buzz surrounding Last Stop right now, and that's there's a lot of influences in it. You can tell. So how'd you first get into film?
Yeah, my background's music, so I started playing in punk bands when I was 10 or 12 years old. Started a band with my brothers, and went to college for music. Spent my 20s touring and crappy punk bands and shitty vans with no AC and stuff. And but I was always really obsessed with film. I would sort of rewatch the same movies over and over again as a kid, and then I think it was when I saw Funny Games in 2007 or whatever, the remake. That's when I really did a deep dive. I remember coming out of the cinema and just being what the fuck did I just experience? And that sent me down a real deep rabbit hole. And yeah, so I was always obsessed with movies. I honestly probably more obsessed with movies than I ever was with music. In terms of being obsessed with the history of films, and so I was always in the van with headphones on, watching Hitchcock and old movies and stuff. And but I guess it just it always seems so unobtainable because you grow up watching Terminator 2 and Back to the Future, and you're just this seems impossible. I don't even know where to start. And when I was late 20s, I broke my wrist and couldn't play drums for 6 months. So I just picked up a T2i that I was using for photography and made a short film around the house with just my wife and I, no lights or anything. And we didn't even have a script or anything. It was just on the weekends, it was oh, let's do this shot, and then kind of piece together a story. And I just kind of fell in love, and I was I don't think I want to do music anymore. I think I want to try this. So from there, it was sort of my first short film. My buddy had a desert house out by the Salton Sea. So I just kind of wrangled all my friends and bandmates, and I was you're going to be an AC and you're going to be a grip, and just kind of assign roles. We went out to the desert and we shot this thing with nobody that was experienced, except for my DP, who sort of haphazardly came on board, and thank God, because he was the only one that knew what he was doing and sort of taught us all, I went into that thing just as planned as I did with Last Stop, because that's just how I do things. But, I just learned how to do everything myself. I learned how to, I was doing the sound design and the effects and and scoring all my short films. And so from there, then I just I was writing scripts based on locations we had free access to, and we were able to do them for a few $100. My first short film, High Desert Hell, was playing at a festival in Cincinnati at Horror Hound. And I flew out there, and I had no money at the time. And I remember I got there and they're it's going to be playing at 7 a.m. the morning after the fucking opening night party. Right. So nobody showed up, and I was dude, I went out there with my dad. My dad didn't even go. He's it's too fucking early. I'm not gonna. So but there was one guy that did show up, and it was James Clay's, our EP on Last Stop, and
wow.
He was he saw the short and was like, hey, I'll give you, I think at the time it was like 50 grand for whatever you do next. And I was like, holy shit, I can fucking make 3 features for that, you know? And like, so I kind of did what I was used to doing. I mean, I sort of looked around the LA area and was looking for like, I'm very drawn to like, you know, period pieces and stuff. So I found this location, 4 Aces out in Palmdale. And, which at the time I didn't know it was such an overused location. Now I see it fucking everywhere. It's in TV shows and commercials. But I was like, this place is incredible. Like, and so I went there, took a bunch of pictures. I drew an overhead of the diner and wrote the script for Last Stop. And I had been producing at a record label for a couple years. Again, something I just kind of bullshitted my way into, to be honest with you. But I learned a lot, and I knew a lot about producing. And so I was like, I'm going to produce this myself and like do it just how I did my short films, hire my friends. And James had a loose connection with Richard Brake. So he was the first person we sent the script to. This was like 5 years ago, maybe, or 4.5 years ago, whatever. And we hopped on a call and he was like, I love the script, I want to do it. And I was like, oh shit, like maybe we can do this bigger than 50 grand. Right. So I ended up optioning the script to a production company, and they were like, we're going to make this movie for $5 million. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Where do I sign? And very quickly learned, because like I don't know shit about the business. All I know is like get your friends together and go make shit. And it was like right away, it was just a lot of gatekeeping. You know, I wrote the script with a lot of these actors in mind. Like Jocelyn, I wrote her in mind when I was writing Charlotte. Wow. And like Richard Brake, I always wanted Jim, and like Sierra McCormick. I had all these like this list of indie darlings that I really wanted to cast, and it was very much like, we need to get Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, like it, like, you know, it was the foreign sales thing. And it was a fucking nightmare, dude. It was like, I just felt my story and my movie like slipping away. And like, even when we did agree, like, okay, maybe I can make this work, this like name with quote unquote value, nobody said yes. You know, I'm a first time filmmaker. Like it was never going to happen. So once the option expired, I pulled it, and I was like, I'm just going to make this thing with my friends and do it how I want to do it. So I just started sort of making the movie as much as with like however I could with no money. So I just like was prepping extensively. Like I was shot listing and, you know, using Shot Designer and doing overheads of everything, and like going to the location whenever they weren't shooting and photo boarding it with my DP. It was hitting up HODs and like getting them on board. And then I wrote letters to all the cast. So with the development money that James put in, I still had David Guglielmo, my casting director. So he helped me get like letters out to a lot of these actors. And like we were at one point, we were like fully cast and, you know, ready to fucking go, and we had no money. So so James, like, he had been messing around with me, just saying like, yo, I'm gonna what if I just sell my house to finance it? And I was like, that's fucking crazy, don't do that. And then finally I was like, hey man, I don't know if you're serious or not, but if you are, like, this is what it means. Like we can make the movie that's on the page, you know, completely outside the Hollywood system. And he sold his house, and we were up and running in like a month. And yeah, I mean, it was an incredible experience. Like it was like summer camp every day. It was made a little family, and like got to work with some of my favorite actors. And, you know, there's always that worry. I was just talking about this yesterday. Like, everyone was just like, oh God, this is the best set I've ever worked with. It was so much fucking fun. And you know, there's that, like, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like the funner you have on set, the shittier the movie is, kind of thing. Right. So it was such a fear of mine to be like, oh my God, we all had such a good time. And then everyone's going to watch the cut and be like, oh God, that's what you were making. That's what we were making. And, so I'm just so happy that like it's getting the positive reception it's gotten. And like, it feels so good to just get it out in the world, man. I'm like, it's been 4.5 years of my life working on this thing, and I've had 2 kids in the process. And, I never expected, you know, any one of these things, getting a Blu-ray. I never fucking thought that would happen. Getting theatrical, like everything that's happened has just been like, holy shit moment. So sorry, that was like, I know I went past the question,
no,
but
great.
yeah.
It's like 900 threads I want to unweave now. I mean, the first thing, like obviously the most poignant thing at the end of there, having a buddy sell a house to invest in you, it's got to feel great, but also the almost like insurmountable pressure that feels like it brings with it.
You have no idea, man. It's like, yeah. And I knew that going in. I was like, this is going to be, but I also had to just be like, he wanted it too, like he wanted to do it. There was never a moment where I had to like convince James. Like he almost convinced me to let him do it, but I think we're all happy he did. And look, there's no way this movie was going to get made without him doing that. It's like, it's a period piece. It's like, the fucking bullshit mandate people throw around. It's like, this is everything outside of that mandate, it's everything people say doesn't work anymore. And so, yeah, it really took somebody like James that just like he invested into me, and not just the story, which is like, people don't do that as much these days. So I'm incredibly lucky.
With all the success at the moment, how are you? Obviously, it feels great, but how are you responding? This is the first full length feature, and this is being talked about as like one of the year's best so far. Yeah,
man. I just got goosebumps right now. I don't know, dude. It's so hard. Like it's it still doesn't feel like. I mean, it's so fucking exciting. I mean, none of us thought we would get this sort of reception, but it's almost like it feels like it's happening to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're like excited for a friend. You're like, this isn't happening. This is not happening. There's no fucking way, but it's really cool, man. I mean, it's, I'm sort of like in the thick of it right now, doing like just really juggling multiple things. And I'm very excited to just sort of, at this point, very excited to just like go in my little hole and write, that's the cool thing about filmmaking is like, it's this constant, like, how do you say? It's like when I'm writing a script, it's just complete solidarity. I'm by myself. I'm in this thing. And then you start you try to get the movie made, and then you kind of have to become like a business guy. Right. And assemble all these things. And then you get to be a director and you're just talking and answering a million questions. And then I edited Last Stop, and hopefully I can edit everything I do, but like, and then you go back into solidarity and you're just editing. Right. And then you do the whole press thing, and then you're talking every day. And so now I'm doing that. And I'm like, I can't wait to get back into the script writing mode, know, like wherever you're at, you're just like, you're looking forward to the next thing. And then once you're by yourself for months, you're like, God, I can't wait for this to be over, and I can like start actually having like creative conversations and like making things happen. So, but it's all so fucking cool, man. I love it.
One of the things that some of the indie filmmakers I've spoke to have kind of dreaded the most is the fact that when you are doing, especially your first one, you have to wear literally every hat. There's no negotiation. You're wearing every hat.
Everybody's wearing multiple hats on an indie set, but yeah.
For those that I've spoke to, that they said that's one of the things that almost broke them down and literally stopped it from happening. During this process, what was like the biggest thing, other than the big investment? What was the biggest gatekeeping thing that you were able to accomplish to get past it?
It's really just like I had to realize that, like, once I realized that nobody's going to care about this movie more than me, you don't think like, oh, why aren't people doing their jobs? Blah, blah, blah. You just kind of, you're like, well, because it's my fucking movie. Like, they care, but they don't care the way I care. You know what I mean? So like, and that's okay. No, like, I don't care what fucking scale or budget your movie is. Nobody's going to care more than you, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you're going to stop like complaining about things. You just kind of inherently just like kind of do everything, right? Like you're sort of involved in every conversation. And And yeah, so it was like that. It was just like the moment I was like, I am not going to wait for people to give me permission, right? Like, I'm not going to wait for somebody to give me money to pay me to go scout or something, right? Like, that's insane. Like, it's indie filmmaking, right? Where nobody's here for a paycheck. Exactly. You just go out and you do it, man. Like, you know, I was with no money. I just invested all my time into, like, you know, I was producing full time at a label, and like every spare minute I had, I was investing it into Yuma. Like, I was just like prepping and like putting the pieces together so that when we actually had the financing, like, we were able to just fucking go, you know? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you just gotta, I don't know, fucking care enough to want to do it, you know, and not wait for, like, quote unquote, like, Hollywood to say you can. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
It does, and really, when you think about it logically, the difference is palpable for most people that, especially that are going to be the face of this movie. Which, oddly, it won't be you, even though this is your heart and soul. It'll be the people that are in it. Yeah, they spent, you know, a couple months maybe being like fully in this thing, and this is like an eighth of your life. Literally.
Oh, totally. Yeah, 100%.
That alone, you can feel that.
God, don't say that, dude. Jesus Christ. It's like, yeah, no, it's so true though, man. But it's also like, I get it though too. It's like, like you said, it is their faces, right? It is. Yeah. So you also have to, like, I would never be like, this is not, like, you don't understand. This is 5 years of my life and it's only a month of yours. It's like, but it also is an entire lifetime for them, right? This thing is like,
of course.
It's like, it's their face blasted on fucking iTunes, you know, and their face blasted on the poster. And I'm totally respectful and acknowledge that. I mean, look, it takes a village to make a movie. And like, even though I said, yeah, you're the only one that's going to care as much as you do, but like, you need everybody. You can't do it alone, you know? And, and I don't know, the more passionate you are about this kind of stuff, like, the more on board your casting career are going to be always. Yeah, like, it was, somebody told me before shooting Yuma, I was talking about, like, the process and how much I prep and all that stuff. And they were like, oh, you know, like, kind of like, I remember my first feature kind of thing. Like,
right.
It was just like, you don't need to prep that much. Like, you're going to get on set and everyone's going to say, like, I wouldn't stand there. I wouldn't say that, blah, blah, blah. And I never ran into that because, one, I did one-on-one Zooms with every actor and, like, combed through the script, and anything that did feel contrived or forced or whatever, I would rewrite on the spot. And, like, I had overheads, and it was sort of like a football game every morning. Like, we, like, would huddle, and I'd be like, this is sort of the blocking, and this is your, and, like, your cast, granted, like, I worked with amazing actors that really trusted me, but, like, they sort of see how much prep you did and, like, how prepared, and they're like, I don't want to fuck with that. Like, you know what I mean? There was maybe, like, one time where somebody was like, can I actually sit over here instead? And I was like, totally, you know? And then I went back and, like, redid all the shot designers and, like, moved his character just slightly over. Yeah, you know, but yeah. Sorry, I know I'm going on a lot of tangents right now, but yeah.
A lot of stuff that we talk about on here is the technical side, and it kind of with one of the things I want to talk about, which is probably, like, one of the biggest characters in Yuma that I don't hear people talking about, which is Yuma itself. I grew up in Southern California. I grew up. I was a railroader for years. I took trains to Yuma, and
cool.
I actually grew up close to Palmdale. I grew up in Barstow.
Oh wow!
So all of this, like, this movie hit home on so many different levels for me, because you know, road trips, it's like, literally, if you got to go to the bathroom, this is the last place that's not standing next to a bush for 100 miles, literally.
I mean, that was, I think was sort of the catalyst of the script, was, like, touring a lot and coming across these diners and having to take a piss at, like, so I totally feel you, man. I mean, they exist. You know, at one point, like, you know, there's a bear in the diner, and I really wanted to put a polar bear in the diner. That was like, because, you know, you go to these roadside diners and they always had, like, weird shit, and I just was like, that's funny. Like, you put a polar bear in the middle of the desert, and then I realized, like, they're extremely expensive to rent, and it was just like, okay, we can't afford a polar bear, so it's gonna have to be a regular bear. Yeah.
One of the hard things with making a movie like this, though, everything has to be kind of gross and sweaty.
Yeah. Man. Every fucking take, it was like add more fucking glycerin, add more fucking spray. It was, I still don't think it's enough. I watched the movie and I'm like, they should have been more sweaty. They should have been fucking Wake and Fright. You know, that was sort of my. Have you seen Wake and Fright?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that was sort of my North Star in terms of like sweat level. You know. But anyway, I cut you off. So
no, my big question is, when was it filmed? Because in Palmdale, like, a lot of people don't understand, it's either 10 degrees or 110 degrees, like almost literally.
Dude, it was. I think we were like, oh, we're gonna be fine. I think it rains 4 days out of the year. We got 3 of those days. like there's every scene outside, the actors are freezing. Like, we had to actually. I have so many stories about that. So the scene with like Jim doing the knife sales pitch, it is pouring rain outside.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
There's literally an HMI that fell over. There's flags blowing across the window. We had to frame up so you couldn't see the ground because it was just, puddling up. So it's pouring rain there, and we had to get all the fucking rain sound out in post. Anytime you see characters outside, it's freezing. Like the scene with Alex and Sam, she had different wardrobe. She was like in like a tube top, I think, and like and the previous day we shot Jim's coverage, I think, and then the next day we were flipping the world, and she was so fucking cold. We were like, we have to reshoot everything because we need to put her in like. So we had to like piece together her wardrobe because it was just too fucking cold, and we had to reshoot it. Same thing with like we had to. With like, I think Sierra and Ryan standing out there, like I could still tell, like Sierra was trying so hard not to shiver, but like I could tell. No one has said anything, but like I could tell she's just like freezing. She's just like you could fucking see it in her face. Yeah. She's trying to be like, nope, it's hot, it's sweaty, it's hot. Like, yeah. So yeah, no, you're right, dude. It was not fun. I went in there thinking like Lancaster, Palmdale. Oh yeah, it's gonna be hot as fuck. And like, no, dude, it was cold as shit. There's a lot of BTS photos where I'm literally wearing a fucking ski mask on set because it was so cold, and I was directing looking like the fucking Zodiac killer and shit. Right. Like,
that area. So many people that have never been there don't understand the weather is so extreme, and most people, like, they're used to thunderstorm, extreme weather, or even like tornadoes. But there, it's literally like. There's no one around for miles, first of all, so you're all on your own in the middle of nowhere. But it's literally like -5 degrees sometimes, literally 125.
Well, and the other crazy thing too is like the thing that really slowed us down was, it's a three-way, or there's like that intersection right on the corner, and I was like, I think when we scouted, I was like, oh, there's like no traffic, it's gonna be fine, dude. We had to reset so many fucking times because of cars, like especially like those long oneers. Like we would be so close to nailing it, and they were just like vroom, motorcycle zoom, and we're like, fuck, So yeah, that was also something that we weren't expecting, was just how much traffic goes through that diner or that film location. Yeah, fucking Palmdale, man. I had no idea.
Palmdale's busy as hell, and it's one of those things where like people use it as an alternate route for the 15 going through California, and the 15 gets so backed up because it's the way to Vegas. It's the only way out of Northwest going out of that part of California. Yeah, it's fucked, and then Palmdale gets screwed over even then on the alternate route.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I can't even remember. Is it Palmdale or is it Lancaster that 4Aces is in? I can't remember. One of the two.
Either way, well, I mean, Lancaster and Bakersfield, that whole area is pretty bad too.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the Tehachapi, and that's the crazy thing is both of these places are deserts because of the mountains that are nearby. So it gets super cold there, and people don't realize that.
Yeah. All right, I'm looking right now. Oh, it is in Palmdale. Yeah, I thought it was Lancaster, but Palmdale. Yeah, and they shoot so much stuff there. I remember did you see Dave? The last season of Dave?
Oh no, not yet.
The first episode was shot at 4Aces of the last, I think, season 3, and I think they shot right after us, and I was like, oh shit. But anyway, yeah. So, I'm always writing in like the worst locations, to be honest with you. I'm like, one day I just want to like write something on like this fucking like beautiful like fucking island and make a little vacation out of it, but it's always like snow and desert and like, you know, places nobody wants to be.
Inherently that creates tension, and that's
100%.
That's one of the best things about this movie is that it is so fucking tense no matter what the situation is.
Oh, thanks, man.
With tension, I've kind of noticed, and this may just be for me, I'd love you to explain it since you're the one that wrote and directed this, but writing tension always seems easier than creating it visually. Do you have any like go-to things for you that make it feel like you can get tension on the screen that feels palpable?
I would say the opposite for me.
Oh, interesting.
Like I would say, I think when a lot of people read this script, it wasn't like, oh my God, there's so much tension. But I had to be like, this is how we create tension. You know what I mean? And like, it's, you know, you watch a lot of Hitchcock, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot. I mean, honestly, like anytime I'm pitching, like, or when I'm writing, I'm always like, writing how it's going to be shot. And a lot of times like that's how I'm pitching, and it's probably really obnoxious, especially like when I'm just like, you know, and so we're here, then we're booming up and we're doing this, and like I was like, no, what's the story? And I'm like, you know, so but yeah, because I always kind of like when I'm writing tension, it's always I kind of ask myself, what would Hitchcock do? Because there's so many, it's like, what do you tell the audience that the characters don't know, or vice versa, right? It's like I just think about like the bomb under the table scenario with the Hitchcock, you know, it's like two characters. I mean, you know, the thing, it's like two characters sitting at a table and the bomb explodes. It's like you get the shock factor, but if you show the audience the bomb, then all of a sudden it's so much tension. And that was sort of also the idea with the fuel truck, was like in the beginning, which a lot of people don't get the first time they watch it, or it doesn't click till the very end. Yeah. But it's like that fuel truck, like the audience it knows that the fuel truck is never showing up, right? And we show the audience that in the very beginning, but weirdly, I think a lot of people miss it. But it's cool. I mean, it still works, you know, if you don't catch it. But that was the idea of just introducing an element that only the characters know. I mean, only the audience knows.
Right. It also helps when you have Richard Brake just staring at people the entire time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he's a fucking force to be reckoned with, man. He is like, yeah, he's an incredible actor. He's an incredibly nice guy. I hope to work with him many more times.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You say that this was inspired by touring. Would we know any of the bands that you played in?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I played in this band called Guttermouth. So they're a punk band from the 90s, and I was like 20, 21 when I started playing with them. And then just like, you know, like I'm like technically still in a band right now, but we haven't played, like, weird. We never like broke up, but like the guitar player just moved, and like this was like right before COVID, and then we kind of just, we still talk to the guys, but we just don't play anymore. That band's called Insecure Alex. So yeah, just a bunch, dude. Just hopping from, you know.
Amazingly, I got started semi in the music industry myself. I wasn't playing so much, but like promoting, working on booking shows. I've had shows played in my living room. I just helped scout for music videos. I've been in a couple of music videos, helped shoot a couple of those. But the big thing, people never understand that it teaches you the fundamentals of so much that you need for like literally any industry.
Any industry. I mean, I think I'm so thankful that I grew up with like punk rock and like that DIY ethos. Like it has taught me so much, dude. Like, I mean, when I was like a freshman in high school, you know, I got like a 4-track recorder, and like we were making our own demos at home, and like burning CDs and like slanging CDs at fucking school. And like, you know, we would do these shows, and I would like rent an old fucking school bus and like pack it and bring everyone to the you know what I mean? Like you just sort of, especially with punk rock, like you just, that sort of DIY ethos is really, it's like, it's in my fucking blood now. And I think if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have been like dumb enough to be like, let's go to the fucking desert and make a short film with zero experience. You know, like it was just like, it's always been, fuck it, let's just do it. You know, like fuck it, let's buy a van, let's hit the road, let's figure it out. We don't have any money. We'll make some t-shirts and sell them and pay for gas. Like you just, but I think having that sort of background has definitely contributed to some of the dumb decisions I've made that have thankfully paid off in film,
Yeah, the biggest thing for me especially is it taught you rejection, like the ability just to cope with being told no. Because so many people that start this and they get told no once, they're like, oh, well, pack it up. And it's like, well, hold on, there's 412 other things we can do.
Yeah, I know, man. It's like, it bums me out when I talk to filmmakers that are like, oh, I made this short film and like, whatever, it didn't get into a festival or whatever. And it's like, and they just keep harping on the same short. It's like, dude, make another one. Keep making them. Like, your first shit's gonna be your worst shit, like you're just gonna get better. I mean, like, and you never know when some of these shorts are like gonna, sort of be a part of your success. Like, I did this short film called The Gemini Project. It's like this black and white sort of like throwback to like Twilight Zone that I shot in Oregon. And it came out like during COVID and nobody saw it. I think it played at one festival. And even my friends were like, what the fuck is this, dude? And when I reached out to like Jocelyn and Jim, it wasn't really High Desert Hell. It was Gemini Project that they were like, this is really impressive. And like, wow, I want to work with you. And I was like, oh my God, like somebody saw it. And so like, it contributed to, them saying yes. But like at the time I was just kind of like, all right, well, I made this thing and nobody gave a fuck, but I kind of like it, So yeah, you never know, man. And like I would say you should be saying yes to fucking everything, especially if you want to be a director. Like literally, like I have gaffed, I've gripped, I've AC'd, I've AD'd, I've done fucking wardrobe, I've done special effects, I've like done anytime a friend needed help, I'm like, I'm there, what do you need? And I can honestly trace back the sort of trajectory of like meeting James to finance the movie all the way back to the very first thing that I said yes to, or like certain other things where I'm like, I was on set and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, God, I'm still working for free. And I'm like, oh, well, on that set, I met this person who introduced me to this person. And then because of him, blah, blah. And you can sort of connect the dots. And it's like, that's what you have to be doing that constantly. Yeah. Just like saying yes and working and just educating yourself, not only with movies and physical media and watching bonus features, but like spending time on set and learning the operations. Like, because I've done every job, I sort of can have that shorthand with my HODs and my crew, and even like doing music has helped so much. And because I was producing my own bands and stuff, that like when we're doing sound design and I'm in the room, I don't sound like a complete idiot when I'm trying to explain what I want, or like, how are you hearing this thing? It's like, they're not like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. I can be very specific, Yeah. And also like, I mean, this was just dumb luck, but like my composer, because I was going to compose, do the score for Last Stop, and then my son was born, and I was like, I have to spend time with the family. I can't do the score. So I ended up hiring Matthew Compton, who is just incredible. I hope he will do every movie for me. But he's also a drummer. So it was great. Like we had that very like drummer shorthand. I mean, honestly, like though I barely gave him any notes. Like he just he took it, he ran with it, and everything he did, I was like, it's kind of perfect, dude. I don't know. Like at the very end, like we were tweaking things, but like, I mean, he got it immediately. Like he really he comes from comedy. He did like Pop Star and MacGruber and shit.
Oh,
and, like,
wow.
Yeah. And so that was the thing. I was auditioning a lot of different composers, and the second I heard Matt's stuff, I was like, oh, when to let the comedy breathe. Like you understand the tone of this movie, and it's playful, but it's intense. And like, I think he's a genius, and I want to, hopefully he'll do the next one for me.
It worked very well. It's one of the things that I noted when I watched it is there's so many, there's a handful of like really obvious laugh out loud spots in a very tense movie that work perfectly, and the music, it dances around them like not many indie films can do. It's mostly people that don't understand that capacity to allow your audience to actually understand what happens there.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I mean, I hope to always, no matter how intense a movie is, like, you got to bring some levity to it, I mean, that's life, right? We're always finding like comedy in the most darkest fucking time. So I hope I can always stay true to that. I think that's just like sort of inherently how I like writing too. So
speaking of tension and levity, we obviously can't talk much about it yet, but all this technical knowledge is leading to an entry in a beloved franchise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
That film coming next.
I do. Yeah. I mean, going back to getting my friends together and going out to the middle of nowhere and shooting something. I don't know if I would have done that without seeing The Evil Dead, that was, again, going back to like, you grew up watching Terminator. Weirdly enough, like, I have older brothers and they showed me so many horror movies growing up. I saw like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, all these movies. They never showed me Evil Dead. Like, weirdly, I discovered that movie by myself. At an age where I was like, holy shit, where like I could really understand like the technicality, of that movie and like what Sam was doing with the camera. It was just like so fucking impressive and groundbreaking, really. And I think that if I never saw The Evil Dead, I don't know if I would have been, I don't know if I would have done what I did. I don't know if I would have grabbed my friends, but like, let's go to the desert and make a horror movie. It was kind of like The Evil Dead that sort of inspired that, of like, you watch that movie and you're just like, man, like, you could just tell Sam and Bruce are having the best time making this thing with no money. And that's so inspiring, and they're like not taking themselves too serious.
Exactly.
Right? Like, but yeah, I mean, I'm a massive Evil Dead fan. I'm like surrounded by Evil Dead shit right now. So
got one right over my shoulder right there.
Oh yeah, nice, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, I have an Evil Dead 2 poster right there, staring at my 1/6 scale Ash and the Necronomicon, 2 Necronomicons here. So fucking
amazing.
I have some original art in the back of me, Evil Dead. Yeah.
So you're writing, directing. Can't share any more details, but that's a pretty damn big deal for somebody that's only done one big feature too.
Yeah, dude. I know, man. I still can't really connect the dots, but I'm just doing the work, man.
Well, obviously it hits a lot of boxes for you, but one of the things that I was thinking about when this was announced, horror is super forgiving to new directors. Like they're more apt to give people a chance than some of these other genres.
Oh, totally.
Do you have a finger on the pulse of why that may be?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I know Ghost House is like, they did this with Fede, right?
Yeah.
Like Fede did a short film, and they hired him to make Evil Dead, and Lee had done one movie, I think Sam just trusts, he's a filmmaker, right? He's like, he runs Ghost House, but he's also a creative. So like, if he sees something and he's like, this kid knows what he's doing or whatever, like it's really cool when you have like a creative that is also running a company. I think it's just like, it's different than how typically Hollywood is usually ran, right? Like where it's like quote unquote suits, right? That aren't filmmakers. And they're just like, they're really just looking at a spreadsheet, where like Sam saw Last Stop and just, So but I don't know, but I mean, I agree with you. I think that like, that definitely happens more often in horror, but I don't know. I mean, it also happened, like it happens though. I mean, like John Watts, like the guy, he did Cop Car and then he did Spider-Man, like, I mean, James Gunn, he did like Slither and Super and then Guardians of the Galaxy. So it happens, right? But I think you're right, more often in horror.
Well, and even then, like they're attached to horror somewhat. Even Cop Car is a very tension-filled film. I
mean, you look at any director, like any massive director, they started out in horror. Like, I just watched Dementia 13 the other night. Like Francis Ford Coppola, that's horror. Like, I mean, it's like, I think because you can do things. It's a little bit more forgiving, like when it's low budget and it's horror. That maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but like, just the horror community is just the fucking best. Like they're so supportive. And yeah, man, it's the coolest fucking community. And because I mean, I just think like people that love horror, we're all just giant nerds, you know, like we buy the Blu-ray, we buy the toy, we buy the fucking, like, we buy everything. There's not really another genre like that is so, I don't know how to say it, just like can really quickly become culty, you know?
Right.
So yeah.
People, the horror community just tends to always show up too. So even like a lot of these indie movies, it's pretty much they're always going to make money, it seems like.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to Monsterpalooza today, and like, it's my favorite place, you know, just being surrounded by a group of people that all love the same shit, you know. It's like I can go there and talk about like my action figures, and like I have a spindle from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, and like people will be like, what is that spindle doing on your wall? What the fuck is that? But then when you're at Monsterpalooza, people are like, oh my God, you know, you get it. Yeah. So yeah, it's the best, dude. Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned it. It's time to kind of hype up something a little bit. And last stop coming to physical media, middle of July from Wellgo USA in the US. And then Arrow announced they acquired it. So probably coming in the UK?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Amazing. That's a big deal.
Yeah, dude, I love Arrow. I mean, fucking like, yeah, between Arrow and Criterion, like, those are the ones I look forward to the most. I mean, especially like the collectors, the limited edition Arrow stuff, like, so cool. Takes up a lot of room in the fucking wall because they're so thick, but I love it. Yeah.
What are you looking for in a physical media release to make it special for you? One that you appreciate more than others?
Bonus features, like. That's why, you know, I had this really long conversation with my DP. He went to USC. I didn't go to film school, and like we were drinking on Memorial Day, and we were just like, I was talking about how film school is a waste of money, and then he was like in my living room, he's like, you basically spent, like, this wall is probably more than film school, you know? And I was like, you're not wrong, but I think this wall has taught me more than what I would learn at film school. And yeah, anytime I have to like stream a movie or something, I'm always like scouring YouTube to find bonus features. Like now it's just like whenever I watch something, I just have to like, I have to get more, you know? Especially like if I go and see a movie in theater, I'm like, what's on YouTube? What can I watch? Like what BTS shit can I watch? For Last Stop, my buddy Eric, he's a DP for Naked and Afraid. And when I told him the story about James selling his house, he was like, oh man, can I come shoot like a 10-minute featurette? And I was like, oh fuck yeah, that's gonna be perfect for for the physical media. And he showed up, and so much crazy shit happened on set that he just ended up staying the whole time. Now, almost 2 years later, he's still filming. And at one point he had like a 6-hour cut. Now it's gonna be like maybe 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. But it's really interesting. It's not going to be on the Blu-ray. There's like a 9-minute teaser of that's going to be on the Blu-ray. And I did 3 different commentaries for the Blu-ray. So I tried. I honestly, like, I wanted so badly to put like bloopers and do all this, but like I just didn't have time, dude. And it was like we were up against the clock. So I wish there was more on the Blu-ray, but I did do 3 commentaries and like a 10-minute making of. So I hope maybe like by the time the Arrow one comes out, I can get the more bonus features. But yeah, the more the better, man. I watch it all, dude. So
any from the last couple of years that stuck out to you as like especially moving or important for you? Or even just all time, like some that sparked.
Yeah. So of all time, there's one. I think I just talked about this on another podcast, maybe. Oh God, Bordello of Blood, on Shout Factory.
Yeah.
There's a documentary on that Blu-ray called Tainted Blood, and I don't want to give it away. Do you have that movie on Blu-ray?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you seen that documentary?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, it's fucking incredible and like funny, but I probably shouldn't be laughing because it's like really sad, but like,
Right.
I mean, it's just like the most fucked up film experience ever. And I don't know why that one came to my mind. I Tainted Blood. It's great. Obviously all the Peter Jackson stuff. I mean, that guy like really I mean, there's like a 4-hour thing on the Frighteners where it's just like, I mean, it's just like, he literally just like sets the camera down and he's like filming like rehearsals and shit. And like, I can watch that shit for days. It's great. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, dude, I don't know. Also, like the making of The Last Jedi is really fucking good. If you haven't seen that, it's really fucking good. I don't know. I mean, yeah, anything with Peter Bogdanovich too. It's like I feel like that guy is on every single Blu-ray. I'm like, well, of course he's on this one. Yeah,
he's on the Bordello Blood release too. By the way,
yeah, exactly. He would be. Yeah. Yeah, so, but yeah, no, I love that stuff, man, and hopefully I can get more on the Arrow release. But like I said, three commentaries. One with me and my DP, kind of talking more technical stuff.
Yeah.
Me and the EP James, mainly just kind of bullshitting, and then me, Jocelyn, and Jim talking about sort of the process. So, hopefully hopefully people dig it. Yeah.
This is a super specific question, but I've been saying the same thing for years, that many of these releases are literally film school in a box. There's something that you can grab onto and learn how to go make a movie, or like just kick your ass and get started, basically. Totally. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Weirdly specific. Can you think of something on Last Stop that you did because you learned about it in a physical media release? Like something from a commentary?
Oh God.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah, I can't think of anything specific right now, but I know for sure there definitely was, right? Like, I just can't think of anything at the moment, but 100%, you know, I mean, some things like, it's just like anything, right? Like you just sort of consume all this, like, you consume movies and bonus features, and sometimes like you forget where they come from and you just inherently subconsciously use it, you know, like, I just rewatched The Killing a few weeks ago, the Stanley Kubrick movie, and like with all the money flying around at the end, I was like, oh, did this inspire Last Stop? And like, maybe, you know, like I definitely don't think I was thinking about it. I definitely wasn't thinking about it at the time, but like, I'm sure that's maybe where it stemmed from, you know what I mean? And it's same thing with like bonus features. I've seen so much that I'm like, yeah, there's probably a lot of times where I was like, in the middle of a situation where I felt like everything was falling apart, and then you think about like, you know, God, what's the Apocalypse Now documentary? Hearts of Darkness.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And you're like, no, it's not as bad as that, so we're good. You know, yeah. I mean, yeah, but speaking of Hearts of Darkness, like that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. That's one of the best. I mean, hands down. Like that fucking doc is incredible, man. But also like American Movie, you know, American Movie's incredible, dude. Somebody gifted me the Colvin VHS.
Nice.
I got it signed by Mark and stuff. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, you know what's a really, really good one? I mean, and this is the documentary that inspired James, our EP, to like really want to make movies, is The Snowball Effect. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on the 10-year anniversary DVD of Clerks. But it's the making of Clerks, and it is so fucking inspiring. I'm going to put that as my number one. Like, that is one of the most inspiring docs I've ever seen. I mean, it's just Kevin Smith, like, basically racking up his credit card to make this thing. And then people being like, this movie sucks and it's going nowhere. And then one person sees it and it's like, it changes everything. I mean, that's exactly what happened with Last Stop, dude. Like, we all were like, okay, I think this is a good movie. We got rejected into every festival, dude. Like, yeah, like we didn't do all these, like all the big ones. Everyone said no. I mean, not even the big ones. Like, I don't want to start naming names, but like we got rejection letters from everybody. Nobody cared. And then like once it premiered and people started like talking about it, everything changed. You know, it takes one person to say yes, and like, or one person to like champion something and be like, no, look at this thing. So And that was like a huge thing in the snowball effect of just like, oh, it's not he wasted his time and money and now he's got to go get a job. And then like one person in the theater saw the movie and did a write up and like just snowball effect, you know? And a lot of times that's how it is, you know, it always takes that one person to say yes, just like James saying yes to selling his house to finance it. Nobody was going to make this movie. Nobody,
right?
You know? So yeah.
That's amazing. The amount of work that went into this it's palpable. Literally, you can tell. And honestly, that's probably one of the unsung things that I don't think I hear many people talk about. Especially in the earlier, like 2000 to maybe 2010-ish time, we were getting a lot of these with like storyboard galleries or comparison between storyboard shots and how it actually turned out in the film. Yeah. And a lot of those can teach people like, no, you literally visualize the entire thing.
Oh, the whole thing, dude. I mean, this sounds crazy, but like I would wake up in the morning and sort of close my eyes and like be able to watch the movie in my head, like every single fucking cut. I mean, I can show you, hold up real quick. I've showed this off before, but like this is sort of like what it looks like. So this is like my sort of prep Bible. And it's like, this is, tell me if you can see it, but it's like,
wow.
Every single overhead of the movie. But yeah, it's every single overhead of the movie. You know, it's that much prep. And like on top of that, it was also going to the location and photo boarding. And like for the Roy Orbison sequence, it was like, actually, I shot that sequence like 5 times. Like, you know, and everyone was like, this is so stupid. You're putting a music video in the middle of your movie. It's not going to work. And I was just had to stick to my guns. I'm like, I was filming it around the house and, you know, cutting it and be like, what am I missing? Okay, I'm missing an over here or whatever. But yeah, man, I mean, look, everybody works different, right? There's probably some directors that are like, I don't need a shot list, and they make a fucking great movie and they figure it out on the spot. And sometimes I did have to ditch the shot list, right? Because we were up against the clock and it was like, all right, dude, let's just put it on a steady cam and fucking figure it out, you know? But when you prep, like, you know, it's a lot easier to pivot when you're this prepared. But I mean, that's just my process, you know, like I have to prep that much. Like, you know, I use SketchUp and I do like a 3D design, of the entire location, of every location that we shoot out. And then I scale it down to a 2D and then I implement it into Shot Designer. And that's where I start planning my overheads. But like, I actually have to like physically see a space. That's just how my brain works, you know, but it's probably overkill, but that's just my process, you know?
Well, not that you need more feedback on it, but the Roy Orbison sequence is fucking incredible.
Oh, thanks, man.
It was still change on the end on Richard Brake was like, it was so perfect. Mind blowing the way that was shot.
Yeah, that Vertigo fucking shot it was very hard to pull off with like, we didn't have the like, I think our second was like on a whip trying to do it. Wow. And it was, God, I don't know, we did like 30 takes. It was very, very hard. But yeah, Jim will admit this. He said it before on a podcast, but it is funny because like he was really trying to convince me to cut the Roy Orbison thing. He was just like, dude, trust me, blah, blah. Even when we were shooting, he was like, Fran, what are you doing, dude? What is this? What are you doing, man? And I was like, Jim, shut the fuck up. Like, you know, and now I remember the first time, I think I showed Jim, it was me, Jim, my best friend, Scott, and James, showed them the first cut. And I had to pause it because he was just like right away. He's like, I was so wrong. I've never been more wrong in my life. It's the best part of the fucking movie. And it was so like vindicating to be like, I'm so glad you like it, Jim. Because also like Jim he's a hero of mine, you know, like he's like, he was sort of like my North Star in terms of like, oh, this guy's making movies with his friends and making a career out of it. And like, that's all I really wanted was like, how do I make movies with my friends and like, be able to make a living doing it. And Jim did that. So it was nice to hear him be like, it's my favorite part of the movie. Yeah.
Well, I know you got to get to Monster Palooza, so
Yeah.
out of immense respect for your time, I could talk to you for the next 3 hours. But
I know, dude. Me too, man. This has been awesome, dude. I want to ask you, what are your favorite Blu-rays back there? What's your favorite like physical media
Oh
that you
gosh, there's so damn many.
I know.
I mean, shout out a recent one. I just watched The Case of the Bloody Iris.
Oh,
4K
cool, dude.
From Celluloid Dreams, a brand new label, and it looks like immaculate. One of the best 4K giallos I've ever seen.
What's it called? The Celluloid what?
Celluloid Dreams.
Huh.
This was their first title, and then they've announced Black Belly of the Tarantula, another classic giallo.
Ah, okay. I'm on their website right now.
That one's coming out on 4K as well, and those are their first two titles. So it's
really
that's a big deal to step in with those two.
Totally, dude. That is so dope.
I'm a big fan of Radiance. Have you checked out Radiance yet?
No.
So shares a name with you. Fran used to work at Arrow Video in the UK. And he stepped out and made this company Radiance. This is Bava's Planet of the Vampires.
Ooh, that looks cool, man.
Amazing art on all their releases.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, a lot of the films, not a lot of them, but they get a lot of unsung films that people just never talk about. But then they do things like The Hot Spot, the Dennis Hopper film. It's got a release from Kino in the US, and to be quite honest, it's the same scan. It doesn't look much different. However, the bonus features that Fran chooses for his releases are produced to perfection.
That's cool, man.
He did a Hong Kong film that I just watched a bonus feature from last month, and it's got maybe the best visual essay I've ever seen. And it was just breaking down how Hong Kong cinema changed between literally the beginning to when that film came out. I think it was on a Moment of Romance, and it's some of the most educational, just well thought out, beautiful put together bonus features that I will champion till the day I die.
Damn. One day you and I should start a Blu-ray company. That'd be fucking awesome.
I've talked about it for years.
Really? Have you?
I genuinely, yeah. Maybe we got to talk after this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just got that. What's Vinegar Syndrome's new like sub label? They just put out Red Rock West.
Cinematograph.
Yeah, those are really nice. They just got Red Rock West, and it's so fucking cool. Like the little string and the little ribbon you pull out. Yeah. God, there was another one I just wanted to talk about. Oh, did you pick up Rolling Thunder on the new 4K transfer?
I don't have it yet. I do plan on getting it, but I think I bought that movie like 4 times before. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I did the commentary on that one.
Oh shit! I did not know that.
Yeah, I did the commentary. Me and my buddy Jackson Stewart did the commentary for Rolling Thunder 4K, and then they haven't announced this yet, but I'm also doing the commentary for Jackson and I did the commentary for Village of the Damned, the Carpenter 4K on Shout.
Incredible.
So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do some more with Shout Factory. Those guys are awesome, and it's so much fun. Just, I mean, honestly, with Rolling Thunder, I mean, I definitely did my homework, and hopefully it's like, giving you some tidbits about the movie, but for the most part, it's just me like fucking, oh my god, this shot is amazing. Oh wow, like just geeking out. So
what a weird accent to choose too.
That's me just being a complete nerd, yeah, but it's basically me just gushing over the movie,
Amazing.
But yeah, so if you check that out, you can hear my obnoxious voice talk about Rolling Thunder for an hour and a half.
Incredible. Well, now it's on the must-buy list.
Cool, man.
Thank you so much for your time. We genuinely, if you're open to it, we got to do this again. I mean,
oh, dude, I love that.
After Evil Dead is close to finish, I would love to hear a lot of details.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hopefully that one gets a nice physical media release, and then we can talk about that too.
Undoubtedly, Evil Dead gets 35 of them, so I'm sure it'll be
exactly. Especially the first one, dude. I've bought it so many fucking times, dude. Same. I think the one I have right now is just the steelbook with the one sheet. But yeah, man. Well, no, this was awesome. Thank you so much, man. And yeah, I'm sure we'll talk soon. And like outside of this, let's talk about starting our physical media company.
You got it. Have time.
Cool.
Have a good time at Monster Palooza.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, sir.
All
See you.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres, so join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.